New Eden was a beautiful world. It was the first planet that humans had made their home outside of Earth. 12 million people lived there. They had built cities and farms. Children went to school. Families ate dinner together. Life was good and peaceful. Admiral Catherine Moore was on a small ship called the Starling. She was checking reports from New Eden. Everything looked normal. The farms were growing food. The factories were making goods. Ships were coming and going with trade. She smiled and put down her tablet. New Eden was doing well, but everything changed in one terrible day. The Velthari came without warning. They were an alien race that ruled many star systems. They believed they were better than all other species. They had never met humans before. They did not like that humans were spreading across the stars. They decided to teach humans a lesson. 200 Velthari warships appeared in the sky above New Eden. The people on the ground looked up and saw the dark shapes blocking out the sun. They did not understand what was happening. New Eden had no army. It had no warships. It was just a peaceful colony of farmers and workers and families. The Velthari did not ask questions. They did not make demands. They did not give warnings. They simply started shooting. Lieutenant Commander Daniel Harris was on a cargo ship far away from New Eden. He was bringing supplies to the colony. When the attack started, he turned his ship around and pointed his telescope at the planet. What he saw made him fall to his knees. Fire. The whole planet was on fire. Velthari ship shot beam after beam of hot plasma at the surface. Cities that had taken decades to build were gone in minutes. The orbital station around the planet tried to fight back, but it had only small guns meant to stop pirates. Against the Velthari warships, it lasted less than 4 minutes. Daniel watched as 12 million people died. Men, women, children, old people, young people. Teachers and doctors and farmers and engineers. All of them burned. All of them gone. The attack lasted 3 hours. When it was over, New Eden was a dead world. The blue oceans had boiled away. The green forests were ash. The cities were craters. Nothing lived on the surface anymore. The Velthari broadcast a message on every radio channel they could find. "Let this be a lesson," the Velthari commander said. "Humans have gone too far. They have spread beyond their allowed space. New Eden is the first correction. There will be more unless humans go back to their home system and accept our rule." Daniel recorded everything. The attack. The message. The death of a world. Then he turned his ship toward Earth and flew as fast as he could. The message reached Earth 47 days later. President Margaret Collins sat in a dark room and watched the recording. She watched it once, then twice, then 17 times. She saw the plasma beams hitting the surface. She saw the cities burning. She saw the numbers on the screen that told her how many people had died. 12 million. Not an estimate, an exact number. Because everyone was dead. Around her sat the leaders of all the human nations. These people usually argued with each other. They fought over land and money and power. They disagreed about almost everything. But now they were all silent. They all watched the same recording. They all felt the same thing. Admiral Victor Hayes was an old soldier. He had gray hair and a face full of wrinkles. He had fought pirates and rebels for 30 years. But he had never seen anything like this. "They killed 12 million of our people," he said. His voice was quiet but hard. "And they expect us to kneel." Defense Minister Alan Cooper looked at his tablet. "Our current fleet is about 400 combat ships. They are spread across 63 star systems. The Velthari have more than 12,000 warships. We cannot fight them." President Collins stood up. She walked to the window and looked out at the shipyards orbiting Earth. Those shipyards built cargo ships and passenger liners. They built exploration vessels and mining ships. They did not build weapons. Then we change what we build, she said. How many ships can we make in 80 months? Maybe 600 more, Cooper said. It would not be enough. Then we build until it is enough. However long it takes. Whatever it costs. She turned to face the room. Her eyes were red from crying, but her voice was steady. The Valkyrie think they have scared us. They think we will run and hide. But they have made a terrible mistake. They did not attack our soldiers. They did not attack our weapons. They murdered our families, our children, our friends. They burned them alive and told us to be grateful. Admiral Hayes nodded slowly. They expected fear. But that is not what they created. No, Collins said. They created rage. Cold rage, patient rage. The kind of rage that does not fade. The kind that waits and plans and builds. She pressed a button on the table. Screens lit up around the room, showing every human colony, every space station, every mining operation in human space. Contact everyone, she ordered. Every world, every ship, every person. Tell them what happened. Tell them what the Valkyrie said. And tell them what we are going to do. What are we going to do? Someone asked. Collins looked at the frozen image of New Eden burning on the main screen. She thought about the 12 million people who had woken up that morning, thinking it was a normal day. She thought about the children who had been on their way to school. We are going to war, she said. Real war. Total war. Every factory will build weapons. Every shipyard will make warships. Every person who can work will work. Every person who can fight will fight. And if we lose, then we die. But we die fighting. We die with weapons in our hands. We die making them pay for every inch of space they take from us. She took a deep breath. There will be no surrender. There will be no negotiation. There will be no peace until the Valkyrie learn that humanity is not prey. We are not cattle to be slaughtered. We are not slaves to be ruled. That night, a message went out across human space. It was simple and short. New Eden has fallen. 12 million dead. Remember them. Prepare yourselves. The war has begun. On 1,000 different worlds, humans read that message. Some cried. Some screamed. Some sat in silence. But all of them felt something change inside them. Fear turned to anger. Grief turned to purpose. Doubt turned to determination. The Valkyrie had wanted to break humanity. Instead, they had united it. In the shipyards of Earth, workers began tearing out the insides of cargo ships and fitting them with guns. In the factories of Mars, assembly lines switched from making farm equipment to making missiles. In the mines of the asteroid belt, crews worked double shifts to dig out the metal that would become warships. Admiral Hayes stood in his command center, looking at reports from across human space. Already, thousands of people were volunteering to join the military. Scientists were starting weapons research. Engineers were designing new ships. They have no idea what they have done, he said quietly. No idea at all. Outside the window, the stars shone cold and bright. Somewhere out there, the Valkyrie were waiting for humanity to surrender. They would be waiting for a very long time. 6 months had passed since New Eden burned. The orbital shipyards above Earth looked nothing like they used to. Before, they had been clean and organized. Now they looked like a giant metal jungle. Scaffolding went in every direction. Half-finished warships hung in the void, growing bigger every day. Chief Engineer Patricia Lane had not slept in 2 days. She stood in the control room of Forge Station Alpha, watching 16 different construction projects at once. Her eyes were tired, but her mind was sharp. The new metal mix is working better than we hoped, said her assistant. A young man named Stephen Grant. We can make the armor on the Resolute-class destroyers 12% stronger without making them heavier. Good. Use it on all the ships we are building. Update the plans for future ships too. Lane rubbed her face and took a drink of cold coffee. What about the big carrier? The first supercarry is 63% done. Admiral Hayes wants us to finish it faster. Of course he does. Lane pulled up the carrier design on her screen. The ship was huge, almost 2 kilometers long. It could carry 300 fighter planes. No human had ever built anything like it. Tell the Admiral we will finish on time. If he wants it faster, he can come help us weld. The same thing was happening everywhere. On Mars, the mines ran day and night. Robots and humans worked side by side, pulling ore from the red dirt. The ore was cleaned and shaped and sent to shipyards within days. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was slow. On Jupiter's moons, the gas collection stations changed their work. Before, they had gathered fuel for civilian ships. Now every drop went to the war effort. Tanker ships flew back and forth without stopping, carrying fuel to the growing fleet dot in the asteroid belt. Mining ships tore apart rocks that humans had studied for years. There was no time for careful science now. They needed metal. They needed it fast. Whole asteroids disappeared into the furnaces of space factories. On the colony world of New Helsinki, Commander Amy Bishop watched the biggest factory. On the planet change from making farm machines to making weapons. The first batch of Mark IV plasma torpedoes is ready for testing, her weapons expert reported. They are 40% more powerful than our old ones. 40% is not enough, Bishop said. The Valkyrie shields stopped our best weapons at New Eden. I want torpedoes that will break those shields like glass. Go back to the engineers. Tell them I need 60% better, at least. Commander, that might not be possible with our current science. Then make new science. Find a way. The Valkyrie killed 12 million people. We owe them a debt, and we are going to pay it back with interest. Deep under the surface of the moon, Dr. Samuel Park worked on a different problem. His lab was cold and quiet. Only a few people knew it existed. The work he did there was secret. We found pieces of Valkyrie scout ships, he explained to the military committee through a secure video call. We have been taking them apart, learning how they work. They're faster than light drives or better than ours. But I think we can copy some of their ideas. How long? Asked the committee leader. To make drives as good as theirs? Years, maybe decades. But I can make our drives better in 8 to 10 months. Not as good as theirs, but good enough to surprise them. Do it, Park smiled. It was not a happy smile. I started 6 weeks ago. I was just waiting for you to give me the money. But the biggest change was not in the factories or the labs. It was in the hearts of the people. On Earth, the military recruitment offices could not handle all the volunteers. Lines went around the block. People waited for hours just to sign up. And it was not just young people looking for adventure. It was everyone. A news reporter interviewed some of the volunteers. I built houses for 40 years, said an old man with rough hands. They tell me the Navy needs people who can build things fast. That is what I know. So here I am. A woman with tears in her eyes spoke next. My sister lived on New Eden. She had 3 children. The youngest was only 2 years old. They are all gone now. I am going to help build the ships that make the Valkyrie pay. A teenager stood behind them. I was going to be an artist. I was going to paint pictures of space. Now I am going to learn to fly a fighter. I will paint pictures later, after the war. The stories were the same everywhere. Scientists who had studied peaceful things now worked on weapons. Teachers joined the military to train new soldiers. Doctors volunteered for combat medic duty. Even criminals in prison asked to serve. Admiral Hayes watched these reports in his command center. He had served for 30 years. He had seen humanity at its worst and its best. But he had never seen anything like this. "Sir," his aide said, "the production reports just came in. We are now finishing 4 new warships every day. 4 per day." Hayes shook his head slowly. "A year ago, we built 4 per month. And it is still increasing. The projections say we will hit 8 per day within 2 months. 12 per day within 6 months. Hayes looked at the star map on his wall. Every human world was now marked with symbols showing what they were building. Destroyers here, cruisers there, fighters over there. A year ago, this map had shown trade routes and passenger lines. Now it showed war production. The Valkyrie thought they were teaching us a lesson, he said. They thought killing our people would make us afraid. Instead, they showed us something important. What is that, sir? They showed us that there is no safety in peace with them. They did not attack our military. They murdered civilians, children. They will do it again, whether we fight or not. Our only choice is to fight back hard enough that they cannot do it anymore. On the planet Vega Prime, a factory that used to make luxury goods now make combat armor. The owner, a man named Charles Dixon, stood on the factory floor watching the new machines work. "We used to make fancy furniture for rich people," he told a visitor. "Chairs that cost more than most people earn in a year. Now we make armor that will keep soldiers alive. I sleep much better now." The visitor looked at the armor coming off the assembly line. Each piece was carefully made, checked twice, then packed for shipping. "How many can you make in a day?" 1,000 sets. "In 2 months, we will make 2,000. In 6 months, 5,000. Dixon picked up a helmet and turned it in his hands. The Valkyrie thought we were soft. They thought we cared only about comfort and pleasure. They were wrong. We care about our families. We care about our future. And we will do whatever it takes to protect them." Back on Earth, President Collins addressed the United Human Alliance. 6 months ago, we were a peaceful civilization. We explored. We traded. We built. We did not think about war. The Valkyrie changed that. They burned New Eden and told us to submit. They thought they knew what humans were capable of. They were wrong. She pointed at the latest production numbers on the screen behind her. In 6 months, we have built more warships than we built in the previous 50 years. In 6 months, we have created weapons that did not exist before. In 6 months, we have turned our entire civilization into a machine of war. And we are just getting started. The room was silent. Everyone knew what was coming next. We will not attack yet. We are not ready. But when we are ready, we will show the Valkyrie what humanity can do when we have something to fight for. We will show them that burning our world was the biggest mistake they ever made. Admiral Hayes stood at the window of his ship, looking at the construction yards. New warships were taking shape everywhere he looked. Fighters and destroyers and cruisers and carriers. All of them built by human hands. All of them carrying human anger. They woke up something they do not understand, he said to himself. And now they are going to learn what that means. Outside, another warship powered up its engines for the first time. Its hull was fresh and unmarked. Its weapons were loaded and ready. Its crew was trained and eager. It was one of thousands. And thousands more were coming. The stars were watching. Soon, they would fill with human warships, and the Valkyrie would learn to regret what they had done. 1 year and 3 months had passed since New Eden burned. The human fleet gathered in the shadow of Neptune. The giant planet blocked them from enemy eyes. Here, in the cold darkness of deep space, 4,000 warships waited. Admiral Hayes stood on the bridge of the supercarrier Vengeance. The ship was enormous. It was the biggest thing humans had ever built. Around it, destroyers and cruisers and battleships held their positions. Their lights blinked in the darkness, like a field of stars. This was only 1/3 of the human fleet. The rest was spread across human space, protecting their worlds. But this force was enough for what Hayes planned to do. "Final reports," he ordered. Captain Nancy Torres checked her screens. "All ships are ready, Admiral. Fighter pilots are in their planes. Ground troops are on their transports. What do we know about the target?" Commander Raymond Ellis stepped forward. He was in charge of spying on the enemy. "The Valkyrie have a forward base in the Catherine system. It is about 40 light years from here. They use it to send patrol ships into our space. Right now, they have about 300 to 400 warships there. Any civilians?" "No, sir. The Valkyrie keep their families far from military bases. The base has about 60,000 military and support staff. No children. No non-combatants." Hayes nodded. "Good. We are going there to win a war, not to murder innocent people. We are not like them." He paused. "But understand this. Any Valkyrie soldier who surrenders will be treated well. Any who fight will be destroyed. That is their choice. Sir, our spies say the Valkyrie do not surrender. They think it is shameful. Then they will learn, or they will die. Their choice, not ours." Hayes turned to the communications officer. "Open a channel to all ships. Channel open, Admiral." Hayes took a deep breath. Every person in the fleet could hear him now. Thousands of men and women who had trained for this moment. Many of them had lost friends or family at New Eden. All of them had volunteered to be here. "This is Admiral Hayes to all ships. 14 months ago, the Valkyrie killed 12 million of our people. They thought this would scare us. They thought we would run away and hide. They were wrong." He looked out the window at the fleet around him. "Today, we start teaching them just how wrong they were. Our target is the Valkyrie base at Catherine. This is our first attack on their military. Many of you have trained hard for this. Many of you lost someone at New Eden. I know your hearts are full of grief and anger. Use that, but use it wisely. Fight with your heads, not just your hearts. Every ship in this fleet was built by human hands. Every weapon was made by human minds. Every one of you chose to be here. The Valkyrie think they are the best species in the galaxy. We are going to prove them wrong. All ships, prepare to jump. We go to war." The fleet vanished from Neptune. Space bent and twisted around them. 19 hours later, they appeared at the edge of the Catherine system. The Valkyrie were not ready. Their patrol ships were scattered all over the system. Their base defenses were powered down. When 4,000 human warships appeared on their screens, there was a long moment of confusion before alarms started screaming. "Launch all fighters," Hayes ordered calmly. "Carrier groups, stay back and give support. Attack groups 1 through 5, move in on these paths." The human fleet moved like a machine. Every ship knew its job. Every captain knew the plan. They had practiced this 100 times in simulation. Now they did it for real. The Valkyrie scrambled to respond. They were good fighters. Their weapons were powerful. Their ships were tough. But they were outnumbered and surprised. The humans had spent 14 months learning how to kill them. Now they put that learning to use. "Enemy flagship spotted," Torres reported. "Big ship. Dreadnought class. They are trying to organize their forces around it. All dreadnoughts, focus on that ship. I want it dead before they can form a proper defense." 27 human dreadnoughts turned their guns on one target. The Valkyrie flagship was huge, almost as big as the Vengeance. Its shields glowed as they absorbed the first shots. "Shields holding at 80%, the tactical officer said. "Keep firing. Launch torpedoes, all tubes." The space around the enemy ship filled with fire. Plasma beams and missiles came from every direction. The Valkyrie defenses tried to stop them. They shot down some torpedoes. They absorbed some blasts. But there were too many weapons hitting them at once. Shields failing. Hull breaking open. Hayes watched as the enemy flagship tore itself apart. Its reactor exploded. The blast destroyed 3 smaller ships that were too close. "The enemy is running," Torres said. "Ships trying to escape. Send pursuit groups after them. No one leaves this system. No one goes to warn the rest of the Valkyrie. We want them to wonder what happened here." The battle went on for 6 more hours. Human fighters chased Valkyrie interceptors through asteroid fields. Cruisers hunted destroyers. Dreadnoughts pounded the base into rubble. Piece by piece, the Valkyrie defense fell apart. When it was over, the Kethran base was nothing but floating wreckage. Not one enemy ship had escaped. Human losses were bad but not terrible. 47 ships destroyed. 112 more damaged. Against that, they had killed almost 400 enemy warships and taken out an entire sector command. "Commander," Ellis found Admiral Hayes on the observation deck. The Admiral was looking at the debris field where the battle had been fought. "Sir, we got data from some enemy ships before they blew themselves up. Our people are already looking through it. What have they found? The Valkyrie have no idea how big our fleet really is. They think we have maybe 1,000 warships total. They think this attack was everything we have." Hayes smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was cold and hard. "Good. Let them keep thinking that. Let them think they know what we are capable of. They will find out the truth when we appear over their homeworld." The human fleet began to regroup. They collected their wounded. They picked up escape pods from destroyed ships. They gathered useful pieces of enemy technology. Then they prepared for the long journey home. Hayes addressed the fleet one more time. "Today you did something that the Valkyrie thought was impossible. You beat them in their own space. You destroyed their base. You proved that humanity can fight back. But this is just the beginning. They have 12,000 ships. We have more now, but we need even more. We need to be so strong that they cannot stop us. Go home. Rest. Tell your families what you did here. And then get ready. Because we are going back. We are going back again and again until the Valkyrie learn that they should never have touched New Eden. Until they learn that humanity is not prey to be hunted. Until they learn that the stars belong to everyone, not just them." As the fleet jumped away, Hayes stood alone on the bridge. He thought about the Valkyrie commander, who had ordered the attack on New Eden. He wondered if that commander had any idea what was coming. Probably not. The Valkyrie still thought they were dealing with a small, scared species. They did not understand what humans could do when they were angry. They did not understand how fast humans could build, how hard humans could fight, how much humans could sacrifice. They would learn that in the shipyards of human space. Workers heard the news of the victory at Kethran. They cheered. They cried. Then they went back to work. More ships. More weapons. More everything. The Valkyrie had won the first battle when they destroyed New Eden. But they had lost something more important. They had lost the chance for peace. They had created an enemy that would never stop, never surrender, never forget. Admiral Hayes looked at the stars outside his window. Somewhere out there was the Valkyrie homeworld. Somewhere out there were the leaders who had ordered the death of 12 million humans. "We are coming," he said quietly. "We are coming, and nothing in this galaxy will stop us." The war had truly begun. Humanity had drawn first blood, and they were just getting started. 2 years had passed since New Eden fell. The Valkyrie Dominion finally understood how badly they had made a mistake. High Commander Salaf stood in the war room on the Valkyrie homeworld. Screens surrounded him. Red marks showed lost systems, destroyed bases, dead fleets. There were far too many red marks. How is this possible? Shouted Counselor Veth. His voice was shaking with fear. The humans were nothing. They had no real military. We destroyed their colony to teach them to obey. Instead, Salaith said quietly, we taught them to fight. The screens updated with new reports. Human fleets had attacked 17 different Velthari targets in the past year. They always came without warning. They always brought more ships than the Velthari expected. No matter how many ships the Dominion sent to defend a system, the humans attacked somewhere else with bigger numbers. Our spies were completely wrong, admitted Intelligence Director Koth. We thought killing New Eden would make humans fight each other and fall apart. Instead, they came together. Every human colony, every group, every government has focused on one thing: making war. How many ships do they have now? We think between 15 and 20,000 warships. And they are building more faster than we can build ours. Salaith stared at the map. Our own strength? 9,000 ships still working. We have lost almost 4,000 in battle over the past year. Our factories cannot keep up with human production. They have more factories than us. They have more people than us. If this war goes on long enough, they will simply drown us in ships. Then we must end it quickly. A big attack on their homeworld. We tried that 6 months ago, Koth reminded him. Our attack fleet was destroyed 3 systems away from Earth. The humans have defenses everywhere. They see us coming long before we arrive. The war room went silent. For 300 years, the Velthari Dominion had been the strongest power in their part of the galaxy. They had beaten or enslaved dozens of other species. They always used the same plan. Destroy one defenseless target, then demand surrender. It had always worked. Every species had looked at the math, seen they could not win, and given up. Until the humans. Far away on the supercarrier Defiant. Admiral Catherine Moore was planning the next step of the war. She had been promoted after the victory at Catherine. Now, she commanded the Second Fleet, while Admiral Hayes led the overall war effort. She stood before a giant star map. Velthari space was marked in red. Human space was marked in blue. The blue area had grown a lot in the past year. Our spies confirmed that the Velthari are pulling their ships back from their outer colonies, reported Captain Derek Lane, her second in command. They are putting all their forces around their important worlds. They are scared, Moore said. They finally understand that they cannot stop us if we come at them from everywhere. Our analysts think they want one big final battle. One fight to decide the whole war. Moore nodded slowly. That is how they think. Their whole military is built around the idea of one decisive fight. One big blow that ends everything. And what is our plan? We keep pushing. We keep bleeding them. We do not need to beat them in one battle. We need to wear them down until they have nothing left. She touched a spot on the map near the center of Velthari space. But they are not wrong that a final battle is coming. We have weakened them enough. It is time to end this. She pointed at the system she had touched. Dominion Prime, their homeworld, their capital, the heart of their empire. We have about 18,000 ships now, Lane said. They can probably gather 7,000 or 8,000 to defend their home. Better than 2 to 1 in our favor. I would like better odds, but we might not get another chance this good. Moore stood up straight. Start working with Admiral Hayes and the other admirals. We have 6 months to get ready. Then we finish this. The message went out across human space. Every warship, every reserve unit, every ship just coming out of the factory was to head for the meeting point. The final attack was coming. In the factories, production went into overdrive. Workers who were already exhausted found new energy. Engineers who had already made everything as good as possible found ways to make things even better. The whole human race focused on one goal: building enough ships to win for certain. Dr. Samuel Park, now in charge of all advanced weapons research, came through with something special 3 months early. "We have figured out how to copy parts of the Valkyrie shield design," he told the military leaders. "Our new torpedoes will go through their shields 80% easier than before. How many can you make before the attack?" Hayes asked. "If you give me every factory that can do the precise work needed, 6 million. You have them. All of them." The new torpedoes started rolling off assembly lines within weeks. They were loaded onto every ship in the gathering fleet. Finally, 3 years and 2 months after New Eden fell, the day arrived. Admiral Hayes stood on the bridge of the Vengeance. Around him was the biggest fleet any species had ever put together. 21,000 warships hung in space. Their lights made a new constellation of stars. "Open a channel to all ships," he ordered. "Channel open, Admiral. Today we end this war. Today we take the fight to the enemy home and show them what happens when you underestimate humanity. 3 years ago, they killed millions of our people. They thought we would give up. Instead, we built this." He waved at the fleet outside. "Every ship out there stands for someone who refused to quit. Someone who chose to fight instead of surrender. Someone who decided that humanity would not die quietly." The Valkyrie thought they were teaching us something at New Eden. They were right, but it was not what they meant to teach. They taught us that there is no safety in being peaceful with killers. They taught us that we must be strong enough to protect ourselves, or we will be destroyed. We learned well. Now we teach them. We teach them what happens when you wake up humanity's anger. We teach them that the stars do not belong only to them. All ships, prepare to jump. For New Eden, for humanity, for victory. 21,000 ships disappeared, racing toward Dominion Prime. On the Valkyrie homeworld, defense stations detected the jump signatures. Alarms screamed across the planet. High Commander Seleth ran to his command center and stared at his screens. The numbers did not make sense. 21,000 ships. 3 times what he had. "All ships, defensive positions," he ordered. His voice was calm, even though he felt cold inside. "We hold them here. We hold them or we die." The Valkyrie fleet moved into place. 7,800 ships formed layers of defense around their world. Every orbital weapon powered up. Every missile launcher loaded. Everything the Dominion had was gathered here. It was not enough. Counselor Veth appeared on the screen, his face twisted with fear. How? How do they have so many?" Seleth did not answer. He watched the human fleet approach, spreading out to surround his world. He had known this moment might come. He had hoped it would not. But the Valkyrie did not run from battle. "We fight," he said. "We fight until we cannot fight anymore. That is who we are." He just wished he believed they could win. On the Vengeance, Admiral Hayes watched the enemy form up to face them. He felt respect for them. They were outnumbered and outgunned. They knew they could not win. But they were not running. They were standing to fight. "They have courage," he said quietly. "Sir?" Captain Torres asked. "Nothing." Hayes straightened. "Send out the fleet, as planned. Carrier groups stay back. Attack divisions move in. Remember, we want victory, not genocide. Disable enemy ships if you can. Take prisoners if they surrender. And if they do not surrender, then we destroy them. But give them the choice first." The final battle was about to begin. The battle for Dominion Prime began with fire that filled the sky. Both sides shot everything they had as the human fleet moved closer. The new human torpedoes, built with Dr. Park's stolen shield technology, tore through Valkyrie defenses like knives through paper. Valkyrie plasma cannons burned through human ships by the dozens. Space itself seemed to scream. Admiral Moore's second fleet hit the enemy's left side. Her ships moved in packs like wolves. They would surround one Valkyrie ship, destroy it, then move to the next. The defenders fought hard, but there were simply too many humans. Admiral Carlos Mendez took the Third Fleet around to the right side. He cut off any path the Valkyrie might use to run away. His cruisers hunted down small enemy ships, while his dreadnoughts fought their battleships in close, brutal combat. Through the center, Admiral Hayes led the First Fleet straight at the heart of the enemy. Enemy command post located, Captain Torres reported. It is their main orbital defense station. That is where their leaders are. Then that is where we go. All dreadnoughts, focus fire on that station. All fighters, give us cover. We end this today. The space around Dominion Prime became a storm of death. Ships on both sides died by the hundreds. Human fighters dueled with Valkyrie interceptors. Big ships traded blows at ranges where no one could miss. But slowly, step by step, the weight of numbers started to show. High Commander Salaith watched his fleet die. One by one, his ships went dark. Some were destroyed. Some were forced to give up when their weapons ran out. The defensive lines he had thought were strong were being torn apart. "High Commander," his aide said, voice shaking. "The outer defense ring has fallen. Enemy ships are coming toward us." Salaith looked at the main screen. The human flagship, the carrier called Vengeance, was cutting through what remained of his fleet. It was like watching a great beast tear through smaller animals. Nothing could stop it. "Tell the civilians to prepare," Salaith ordered quietly. "Tell them the war is over. There is to be no fighting back. No bombs, no attacks. Just surrender." "Sir, we still have ships. We can still fight. Fight for what? To last another hour. Another day." Salaith shook his head slowly. "We started this war because we thought the humans were weak. We killed one of their worlds to make them obey. Instead, we woke up something we did not understand. Something we cannot beat." He reached for the communication console. "Open a channel to the human flagship. All frequencies." A moment later, Admiral Hayes appeared on the screen. The human looked tired. His eyes showed the weight of 3 years of war. But there was no hate in his face. No joy at winning. Just determination. "High Commander," Hayes said, "you have fought bravely. But this battle is over. Order your ships to stop fighting, and I promise your people will be treated fairly. Your promise." Salaith thought about those words. 3 years ago, my people killed 12 million of yours. And you offer us mercy? "We are not like you," Hayes replied simply. "We did not come here for revenge. We came because you gave us no choice. Surrender, and the war ends today. Keep fighting, and more die on both sides. The result will not change." Salaith was quiet for a long time. His staff watched, waiting. "Very well, Admiral. I am ordering all Dominion forces to stop fighting and surrender." He paused. "You know, this is not truly the end. Many of my people will never accept human rule. There will be trouble. I know. But that is tomorrow's problem. Today, we stop killing each other." Hayes leaned forward. "High Commander, I want you to understand something. We did not want this war. We were happy to live in peace, to trade, to explore. You chose to make us enemies. You chose to teach us that peace was impossible. Now you will live with what you chose." The channel closed. Across the Dominion home system, weapons went silent. The war was over. 3 months later, Admiral Hayes stood on the observation deck of the Vengeance. Now in orbit around Earth, the ship still showed scars from battle. Patches of new armor marked where enemy weapons had hit. President Collins joined him. She moved slowly with a cane. The war years had aged her badly, but her eyes were still sharp. "The last occupation forces are in position," she said. The Velthari are cooperating. For now, they have no choice. Their military is destroyed. Their economy is broken. It will take them generations to rebuild. Hayes paused. What happens next? That depends on us. We can rule them with fear, become what we fought against. Or we can try to build something better. A real peace, based on respect instead of power. Can that work? After everything? Collins looked at Earth below them. I do not know, but we have to try. Otherwise, what was all this for? Hayes nodded slowly. We built the greatest military force in history because we had to. Because they made us. But that does not mean we have to stay warlike forever. We can choose to be better than our enemies. Or we can stay ready. Make sure no one ever threatens us again. Maybe both. Hayes turned from the window. The galaxy is watching us. Other species are deciding if we are a threat or a friend. How we treat the Velthari will shape what they think of us for centuries. The years that followed were hard. Some people wanted harsh punishment for the Velthari. They pointed to New Eden and said any cruelty was deserved. Others wanted forgiveness. They said only kindness could bring real peace. In the end, humanity chose a middle path. The Velthari Dominion was broken up. Its military was limited forever. The species it had conquered were freed. But the Velthari people were not killed or enslaved. They were allowed to rebuild, with humans watching, with the understanding that any future attack would be crushed. It was not perfect. Nothing ever is. But it was a start. Admiral Hayes retired 5 years after the war ended. He spent his remaining years on a quiet colony world, far from power. He never gave interviews or wrote books. When people asked about his role in the war, he always said the same thing. I did not win the war. Humanity won the war. Every person who volunteered. Every worker who built ships. Every family that sacrificed. I just pointed the fleet in the right direction. Every year, on the anniversary of New Eden's death, ceremonies were held across human space. People gathered to remember the 12 million who had died. They thought about what those deaths had started. A memorial was built in orbit around the dead world. It was huge, visible from space. It had the names of everyone who had lived there. Ships passing through the system would stop to pay respect. Their crews would look down at the burned planet below. The center of the memorial said simply, they thought they could break us. They were wrong. Across the galaxy, other species read the history of humanity's war with the Velthari. They learned the lesson the Dominion had learned too. Never underestimate humanity. Never threaten there. Holmes. Never think that kindness means weakness. The stars had. Filled with human warships once because humanity had no choice. They stayed filled with human warships because humanity had learned that the universe is not always kind to those who cannot defend themselves, but in their hearts. Humans still dreamed of a day when the ships could be put away, when weapons could rust unused, when the galaxy could finally know true peace. Until that day came, they would stay ready, and they would remember New Eden. 12 million voices, silenced forever, had taught humanity a terrible truth. Sometimes, the only answer to violence is greater violence. Sometimes, the only way to protect peace is to be so strong that no one dares attack. The Velthari had tried to make humanity kneel. Instead, they had made humanity stand. They had tried to show humanity its place. Instead, they had shown humanity its strength. And now, wherever humans looked at the stars, they saw not just wonder and beauty. They saw home. They saw what they had fought for. They saw what they would always protect. The war was over. The peace was beginning. And humanity would never, ever forget what it had cost to get there. The end.